wants, like pencil and paper, that kind of a situation. Cause this is not going to be like, I present to you and then you like, just listen to me and don't do anything. Like this is going to be like, write stuff down, get the goals on paper, so that you have the plan. I don't want you to have any homework after this, except maybe like writing it nicer. Like that's going to be it, because I want you to have your goal, like goals ready to go by the time we're done with this workshop. So that's like my goal. I think everybody knows me, but I'm Bonnie. I am a registered dietitian, mostly do nutrition coaching, but this is not necessarily going to be about nutrition. So hopefully everybody's here because they want to set goals and they know why you should set goals. But they give you a good direction. And actually, when you have a goal, when you have some framework, it lets you have a little bit more freedom, because you go, okay, I know I'm going in the direction I should be going. And now I know what I should be doing. And now I kind of have the flexibility to do things in different ways. And some people make these really unrealistic goals. They maybe aren't right for right now. Maybe they're too expensive to do. Maybe now's the right time. Like maybe this isn't the year to make a big travel goal. Maybe this isn't the year to make, in 2020, maybe it wasn't the best year to do certain things, and we didn't even know at the start of the year, right? But we do have an idea going forward of what's achievable. And so I think some people give the recommendation to make like wild goals. And I think there's a place for that. These goals though are going to be very specific and like in the next few months kind of timeline. And so those big goals are good to keep in mind, and maybe make a smaller goal that kind of like gets you on the path towards that big goal. I think everyone's probably heard of SMART goals before, but we're going to be really talking about those today. So you should know where you're going when you've gotten there. It should be possible and relevant, and it should also be timely for this. So now we're going to start with our paper that I had you guys get out. I want you to write your top 3 priorities in your life, because we're going to come up with a goal for each one of those. So I'm going to give like, hopefully that's not too hard to think of, but for me, it's family, my health, and my career. So write down 3 kind of like overarching things that are important to you. Okay. So now we are going to make a goal for each of those sections. And that can be tricky for certain things. I think that sometimes we have an idea of like a health goal or a career goal, but maybe something like family might be a little bit more nebulous and more difficult to make a goal. So if my goal is to have the best communication I can with Clint, my goal might be, what I came up with for that was, we got this engagement workbook I asked for Christmas last year. And I was like, you know what, we should do this. And it's a workbook we can do together and work on our communication that way, because it's a little bit more of a nebulous goal. And making things specific. So there's not a ton of people, we have a small, which is what I wanted like a small group here. So whenever I want to start making like an initial outline of a goal for each category. And if you're stuck, you can unmute yourself, or you can chat with me about maybe a way to do that. I'm trying to figure out how to open up the chat from presenter view here. There we go.
this friend named Angie who used to work for Daniel. I'm gonna text her.
Is anyone having any struggles with a goal for one of their priorities? I see everyone's still writing that I can see, so I'm gonna give it another minute. But if you have any struggles, let me know. We can workshop it together. Clint, what's one of your goals? I'm gonna pick on you.
I wrote that I had career goals, family goals, and then hobby / personal enrichment goals. I felt like a lot of the personal enrichment, the hobby stuff kind of went to the wayside this last year. So things that I want to do are I want to draw and sketch more this year. I want to read more, and I want to look sexy. I want to get real lean and look good. I want to go to the beach. So on the I want to read more, I want to read 30 books this year, which means 2.5 books a month. And I could break that down by week and day, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna take my temperature every 2 weeks. Am I on track for 2.5 books?
Measurable. So we see about maybe a certain number of hours a week that you think on average it would be, or something like that.
Yeah, it really depends on how big the books are that I want to read.
Yeah, last year Clint had picked some really long books, and then he tried to do 30.
I started last January. Yeah, last January, The Count of Monte Cristo. It was so long, and it just threw me off the whole year. So I don't recommend starting with a big one.
You should start with like Peter Pan this year. It's like 100 pages. Or what's that one? Animal Farm. That's short and it's good. So
I've read it.
You can read it. Yeah, I don't know. And then we want to make these goals measurable. And this was something that was, again, difficult for the family goal for me. So I said that we would complete the engagement communication book by completing 1 chapter each month. And there's not 12 chapters in here. So not all of my things, we're going to get to this with timely, but not everything needs to take the whole year. So it could be a goal that, as we'll get into when we get to timely, that is only, might only take you 1 month to do, but it might be something you put off all of 2020 and it's still a big goal for you. So to measure each of my goals, I said I will communicate. We will complete our engagement communication book by completing 1 chapter every month. I will lose 8 pounds. I will measure this by stepping on the scale each morning. I will gain 10 new clients, keeping track of new clients on a spreadsheet, and that's how I'm going to track it. And it doesn't have to, the phrasing doesn't have to be great right now. You'll notice these are going to start to get really wordy, but at the end, we will kind of like go back through them and like parse them out into something that like will look good like when you write it out. So take each of your goals and figure out how you're going to measure it. So for drawing, that might be a certain number of drawings every month, something like that. Certain amount of minutes reading. What are your goals? You have goals? Want to go for a walk every day? Wow. Wants to eat lots of treats? Rachel, what's one of your goals?
Hi, everyone. So I'm going to up Clint because I actually read 30 books last year. So I want to read 50 books because I started in March last year when we were at stay at home. So I got 2 extra months. So we'll see. I want to adventure more, go on more hikes because that was really fun this summer to go on hikes. So do more of that and spend more time with my mom and Austin.
Austin's wearing his sweater.
He is wearing his sweater. I know. And he's taking notes. He's doing good.
Okay. So then attainable in our SMART algorithm. So I then took each of my goals and said how I was going to attain that. So for the communication, we will attain this by having quiet time with the book and each other for 30 minutes every week. Because otherwise it's going to get to the end of the month and we're going to be like, oh crap. And then it's going to be like this big chore as opposed to something that's supposed to be very enjoyable and help us with our communication. For my health goal, I will attain this by hiring a nutrition coach, getting 10,000 steps per day, and meal prepping for 2 hours on Sunday. I know for me, if I don't meal prep, nothing else happens. It doesn't work. And for my career goal, I will gain new clients by asking for referrals, following up on inquiries, and hosting quarterly webinars like this one. So, because sometimes, I'm going to read 50 books. Well, how am I going to do that? Am I going to make a list of all the books that I want to read? Am I going to put the book by my bedside table and read for 10 minutes every morning? Like, how am I going to do that? Francesca, what have you decided to do? What are your goals?
So I did family, health, and then horses because I horseback ride. So for family, I put prioritize time with Jim and my mom because I don't know if this has happened to anyone else, but during COVID stay at home, you stop dating because you're like always home together. So I figure if we do 2 dates a month, that'd be good. And the other thing is with my mom, it's always been running errands since COVID. So like actually doing 2 activities with her a month, even if it's just going to be like playing Scrabble. Health will be workout 3 times a week because I haven't been doing that at all. So, and for 30 minutes a workout and to get to my maintenance macros by working with you. And horses will be to get to a horse show with my horse this year, practice when he's home, and talk with my coach for a game plan.
I like that. For dates, we actually signed up. I haven't tried it yet, so I don't want to endorse it, but we signed up for a date box. And every month,
Oh, okay.
and they're only
That's
$15 a date box. I can send you, we'll get our first one in 2 weeks. So if I like it, I will then let you know.
Okay, yeah, let me know then.
But I'm like, well, don't buy it when I'm gonna get it so soon and can let you know if it's worth it.
Yeah, let me know if it's worth it because I just feel like since my mom's going to be moving in, even though she's on the other side of the house, we have to prioritize our time and like date time, just couple time.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. Yeah, I'm excited for the date box.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
And this
I'll
one
give you-
should be a little bit easier, this section, time-based. Kind of put a timeline on each goal. Some things, you know, maybe it is the whole year. None of my goals are the full year. My personal goals for the family goal, there's 9 chapters in this book. So I said that we would do it by November, I think, or maybe there's 8 chapters. But then I realized the last chapter, no, there's 9 chapters, but the last chapter is only 2 pages long. So we now have like a wiggle room month in case we don't hit our goal one month. For my weight loss goal, I said I wanted to do this, lose 8 pounds by my dress fitting in May. And for my career goal, I said I want to do this in the first quarter of the year, so by April 1st. I feel like we think that these goals, every goal needs to be really long, but it doesn't need to be that way. Some goals, you know, will, but. And then I said at the end, we would kind of rephrase it because it started to get like really long, you know, at the end here, just by stacking them all. So now just kind of going back through and rephrasing everything. So by November 1st, we will have completed our engagement communication workbook by sitting together for 30 minutes each week, finishing 1 chapter each month. I will lose 8 pounds by my dress fitting in May. I will step on the scale each morning, hire a nutrition coach, get 10,000 steps per day, and meal prep for 2 hours each Sunday. And for career, I will gain 10 new clients by April 1st by asking for referrals, following up on inquiries, and hosting quarterly webinars. Just doing a little bit of rephrasing there. And then making an action plan for each goal. I feel like a lot of times people make a SMART goal and it sounds awesome, but then like, it's like, okay, but like, this is really big. Where do I start with this goal? So if your goal is to read 50 books next year, maybe you're going to pick the first 10 books and say, okay, I know these are or if you're Clint and you say, okay, last year I tried to read 30 books. I realized that I started off too hard. So this year I'm going to pick a very doable book, maybe a book that I can read in this first weekend of the year to really get things going, or I'm going to pick a couple short books and get ahead. Maybe in January, I'm going to read 5 books in January. So I have a little bit of wiggle room. The rest of the year, I'm going to pick a couple short ones. So that could be part of an action plan. For me, my family goal, I've already done all these things, but, talk with Clint, let him know, if you want to go on more dates with Jim, like talk with Jim and be like, hey, I want to do this. It's probably the best place to start.
I think I'm gonna have to send them a snapshot of these goals when I'm done in my writing coach too, and just tell them that they're clued in on my goals.
Yeah, and that might be something like, ideally, the action plan, I want you to be able to like do a lot of this stuff like today or this weekend. Like it should be really, really quick things. So like talk with Clint, get the workbook, and then set aside a specific time each week is the only part of that we haven't quite done yet. I think we all actually do a date night. So I have a feeling it'll probably go with date night or with our meal prep. It might go into our Sunday meal prep maybe. For health, hire research and then hire a nutrition coach, get a fitness tracker to track my 10,000 steps if I didn't have one, or find it, because I know for a while I'd lost my Apple Watch. Put meal prep on the calendar, because if I say, okay, I'm gonna meal prep for 2 hours every Sunday, but that doesn't on the calendar, it's not going to happen. For my career goals, creating a system for tracking new clients, inquiries, and referrals so I don't let the ball drop. Make the webinars if I want to deliver them every quarter. Make a referral program or figure out how I want to do that to incentivize, or, maybe make the referral program might just be like, hey, remember to ask, because sometimes I forget. Rachel's nodding because she's a business coach. I know that's not exactly what you are, Rachel, but that's the short way to do it. Austin, what do you have down?
Oh, I'm way behind
Okay.
from where you guys are. I'm a lot of these things I haven't sat down and written out my goals or anything. So I'm really writing down most of the goals that I want to attain this year, but I haven't written down how I plan to achieve them or anything like that.
What do you have?
Well, pick one that maybe someone else that wouldn't have, or
I want to get back to running.
Mhm.
So I think running in the mornings, like first thing when I get up, if I develop that part of the routine, it'll make my entire day go easier if I wake up at like 7 a.m. and get a run in and start my day off right.
This is a good one.
I think that's a really good one.
Yeah. And I also wrote down better individual relationships with family members.
And that one's going to be a much harder to like figure out how to do that. Versus running, where I feel like running maybe is where you're going to want to start doing the SMART goal, because it's a little bit easier to pick, okay, I'm going to run every morning at 7, or 3 days a week at 7, whatever it is. Maybe you
Well,
need
it could be making a goal like every week you pick one family member and you just touch base with.
Yeah,
Send a text, send an email.
That one's just going to start with correspondence.
Yeah.
Because I think we all tend to get lax with relationships, and both ends just kind of let it slip until you're not talking at all for like months at a time. So it'll start with just correspondence, maybe even setting like a reminder on your phone. Like I listened to some business podcast, and the guy said that he has reminders on his phone to correspond with people.
Mm-hmm.
And he said a lot of people say that doing that makes it feel disingenuous and not authentic. But he's like, a lot of people will, if they leave it up to themselves to think of the other person, then they'll just let it slide and they won't talk to them at all. So the reminder, even though it's inauthentic, it makes the relationship better than if you were just to leave it up to yourself.
Right. And it could be different things for different people. Like I could see with Jared, maybe we could start like a game, like a ticket to ride or something from our phones. And, he would be, you know, everybody's gonna be a little bit different. Someone might respond better to a letter or like a, you know, a Marco
Mhm.
Polo situation or a phone call. But some other people, you know, like Jared's really into games. Maybe we could do a game, an online game with him sometime. So it could be different for different people. But yeah, like once a week, I'm gonna touch base with one family member. Or
Yeah.
whatever it is. And then accountability, writing down your goals, which is what we've done now, committing to a schedule, kind of like we've been talking about. So if you have a big goal or kind of a nebulous goal of like, you know, like we were just talking about, talking with family members more. Okay, well, I'm going to put that, you know, I'm going to talk to 4 family members a month. Get an accountability partner. Clint and I do this, did this before the pandemic hit. Every week, we actually would go through our goal list and say, hey, this is what I've done this week towards this goal. And if there were 2 or 3 weeks where we hadn't made any progress toward that goal, we're like, you know what, is that goal even important to me anymore? And sometimes we actually, I was like, you know what, I had the goal at the beginning of the year to do yoga 4 times a week. And I didn't do yoga like once in January and February. And Clint's like, do you care to do that? Like, why is that your goal if you haven't done it? And I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe that's not important to me. It sounded good. It sounded good. Like other people want to do it. So I thought I should do it, but it wasn't important to me. Or tweaking the goal, being like, okay, maybe yoga 4 times a week was too hard. And so I haven't done it yet at all, but maybe I should do it just yoga every Sunday and see how that goes. And then celebrate the victories. It doesn't always mean throwing a party. It can be putting a sticker on your calendar. Some people love stickers and making themselves a sticker chart. Nicola's nodding her head because I know a lot of people who I give them the challenge and I say, okay, every time you hit your nutrition goal, put a sticker on your calendar that says that you did it. And they're like, you know what? I'm so much better at my nutrition goals now because I want my sticker. And it's silly, but it works. And then some goals, it helps to have your environment change. Health and fitness goals, I think, are big ones for that. Keeping your running shoes by your front door. Keeping, you know, if you want to do yoga, keeping your yoga mat out. Maybe not like rolled out on the floor, but like right there. Don't put it away in the closet because then it's out of sight, out of mind. Putting the engagement workbook on the table. If we decide to do it every Friday or whatever, you know, clearing off the table and making it a nice environment to work in. For a work goal, maybe clearing out your office or having a place to sit and do your work. For food, for health and fitness goals, for health, like nutrition goals, moving desserts, chips, cereal, and things like that to a high or low shelf or throwing them away. And having a fruit bowl on the counter or like in the fridge in a clear glass bowl. They say that that really does work, by the way, having things in a clear glass container. So yeah, that's it for the goal setting workshop. Hopefully everybody has some goals for 2021 written down or at least started. Don't feel like you need 20 goals. If you want to have a bunch of goals, that's okay. Especially if maybe there are a bunch of short ones in there. Some people like doing like January, I'm going to do this. February, I'm going to do this. March, I'm going to do this. And maybe it looks like a really long list, but like at any given time, there's only 2 or 3 things. But if you try to do 10 things all at once, what happens is none of them. You're juggling it all and then it all falls down. So I like 3 goals. I think depending on what they are, you might be able to do slightly more. If it's, hey, once every 2 weeks, I'm going to do a date night. That's not a huge time commitment every day. So that might be, you know, a goal that it's like, okay, I'm going to do, you know, 2 times a month with Jim, 2 times a month with my mom. And that is still only once a week total. So it's not as, you know, big of a goal as I'm going to go running for an hour every day. That's a big time commitment. So you just need to think about like, okay, how much time is it going to take me across the week to do each of my goals? And if it's going to take quite a bit of time, then only having 2 or 3 goals. And if it doesn't take a lot of time, then maybe you can do 4 or 5. If you want more information, I think everybody here already knows all these things. But you can always follow me on Facebook, Instagram, join the Facebook group, the website I've been revamping a bit. So that's been kind of fun as I've gotten my new team members on board. We've been adding, their faces to the website, and I'm really excited for 2021 to expand and grow this little enterprise that I started kind of in secret in March before I could tell anybody. And to watch it grow has been really, really fun. So thank you all for being a part of that, because everybody here has been a big part of that. I appreciate you guys. So.
Well, hats off to you too, because one of your former clients, my best friend, saw me 2 days ago, and she couldn't believe how much weight I had lost and how much fitter I looked. So hats off that not
You
just
have
one.
done awesome things too.
Yeah,
Like that's been a team effort.
Yeah. So it was cool.
Good job. That's awesome.
Was it, I didn't ask you, did you find that riding your horse was easier at a lower weight?
It's totally easier. Yeah. I mean, like your body in general, it's just easier to maintain your balance because you're so much smaller. And now my horse is on a diet because he's really fat. And so the vet yelled at my coach and was like, didn't yell, but scolded a little and said he needs to lose like 200 or 250 pounds. And I was like,
I know horses weigh a lot, but it's a lot of weight.
he's like a smaller horse, and he had an injury last year, and he's kind of built like a pony, so his belly just kept getting bigger like a pregnant mare, and so now he looks like he's ready to pop. And they're like, no, it's diet time. But horses are really easy because you just stop feeding them as much. Like they're like dogs. If they want it, you just don't give it to them, and you just say
Right.
no.
Right. What are they going to do about it?
Yeah, they can't go to the cupboard and just grab something. So.
Oh, well, and I was going to say that I bet your horse has more stamina if you're lighter, but
He doesn't
you
need
have not lost 200 pounds to make up for weight gain.
No, he doesn't even notice. Yeah, like I think it's just really when you're jumping, if you're laying on their front end, that's harder. But if you're riding correctly, you should be moving with them. So
Right.
it shouldn't be that big of a deal. But there are some people who don't take fitness very seriously who ride. And I think their horses have to do a lot more work to counterbalance that.
Right.
And it's not socially acceptable anymore at horse shows either to say that you need to be in shape if the horses have to be in shape. That's not like PC anymore. So there's like a lot of